The Alpha King called her weak and rejected her before the entire kingdom. He threw her into a deadly snowstorm and left her to die. But only minutes later his pack was attacked by thousands of rogue wolves and the kingdom faced destruction. Then the impossible happened. The broken Omega opened her eyes and awakened the legendary silver wolf that had been lost for centuries. She saved everyone and disappeared without a trace. 5 years later she returned as a powerful queen with 2 silver-eyed children, and a secret that would shatter the Alpha King's world forever. Because the woman he rejected was not a weak Omega. She was the last Silver Queen and the mother of his hidden heirs. Blood spread across the white snow like a dark river. Elara Ashwood knelt in the center of the Moonclaw courtyard. Her hands were trembling. Her grey dress was soaked with melting snow and tears. Hundreds of wolves stood around her in a circle. No one helped her. No one spoke for her. They only watched. At the front of the crowd stood the most powerful man in the kingdom. Alpha King Draven. Handsome. Cold. The man she had loved for years. The man the moon goddess had chosen as her mate. But tonight there was no warmth in his golden eyes. Only disappointment. Only anger. Elara slowly looked up at him. Her lips shook. Please, she wanted to say. Please do not do this. But the words never came. Kale took one step forward and the entire courtyard became silent. Snow fell softly between them. You are weak, he said. His voice was deep and calm. Come. You have no wolf. No strength. No future beside me. The words struck her harder than any blade. The crowd began to whisper. Some people laughed. Others smiled. They had waited years for this moment. The useless Omega was finally being thrown away. Elara swallowed the lump in her throat. I tried, she whispered. I tried to become stronger. Kale looked at her as if she meant nothing. Trying is not enough. Aluna must protect her people. She must be powerful. You are neither. Tears filled her blue eyes. She remembered every moment she had spent hoping he would one day accept her. Every smile. Every dream. Every secret prayer. All of it was dying tonight. Kale lifted his head. I reject you, Elara Ashwood, as my mate and future Luna. The world stopped. A terrible pain exploded inside her chest. She cried out and fell onto her hands. It felt as if invisible claws were tearing her soul apart. The mate bond was breaking. A woman in the crowd laughed loudly. I told you she was not worthy. Another voice followed. A wolf without a wolf. What a joke. Someone threw snow at her. Someone else called her cursed. Elara closed her eyes. She wanted to disappear. She wanted the earth to open and swallow her. When she looked up again, Kale had already turned his back on her. That hurt more than the rejection itself. He would not even look at her. 2 guards stepped forward and grabbed her arms. Please, she whispered. No one listened. The guards dragged her across the snow. The crowd moved aside and watched her pass. Some looked amused. Some looked relieved. A few looked sorry. But nobody stopped the guards. Nobody spoke her name. The great wooden gates of the pack opened. A freezing wind rushed inside. The guards threw her outside the borders. She fell hard onto the snow. Then the gates slammed shut. The sound echoed through the mountains. Elara did not move. She simply lay there. Snowflakes landed on her hair, on her face, on her tears. Inside the walls she could hear music again. They had already returned to the celebration. She had been forgotten in less than a minute. A broken laugh escaped her lips. 23 years. 23 years of trying to belong. And this was how it ended. Slowly she sat up. Her fingers reached for the small silver pendant hanging around her neck. It was old and worn. Her mother had given it to her before she died. Never lose this, my little moon. Those had been her final words. Elara held the pendant tightly. Mother, she whispered. Why was I born like this? The wind howled. No answer came. Then suddenly a scream shattered the silence. Elara looked up. Another scream followed. Then another. The music inside the village stopped. A loud crash echoed from the walls. Another crash. Boom. The ground trembled. People were shouting. The gates shook violently. Then came a voice full of fear. Rogues. The word echoed through the night. Rogues are attacking. Panic exploded inside the village. The gates burst open. A massive black wolf crashed through them. Then another. Then another. Hundreds of rogue wolves poured into Moonclaw. Their howls filled the air. People screamed. Warriors transformed. Children cried. The peaceful celebration became a nightmare. Elara stared in disbelief. This could not be happening. Moonclaw had not been attacked in generations. Fire suddenly rose from one of the houses. Orange flames climbed into the dark sky. The smell of smoke filled the air. She saw Kale in the center of the chaos. He shifted into his giant black wolf. He fought like a king. Powerful. Fearless. But there were too many enemies. The rogues kept coming. A small boy ran through the snow. A rogue spotted him. The beast lunged. No, Elara shouted. Without thinking, she ran forward. She threw herself in front of the child. Sharp claws cut across her shoulder. Pain exploded through her body. She fell into the snow. The little boy escaped. The rogue turned back toward her. Its yellow eyes glowed with hunger. Stepped closer. One step. Then another. Elara could hear her own heartbeat. This was it. She had been rejected. Abandoned. Now she would die. The wolf opened its jaws. Then something strange happened. A warm light appeared inside her chest. She froze. The warmth spread through her body. Then a voice spoke. Ancient. Female. Wake up. Elara's eyes widened. She looked around. Nobody was there. The voice came again. Wake up, my queen. The silver pendant around her neck began to glow. The snow beneath her hands started melting. What is happening? She whispered. Images suddenly flashed before her eyes. A palace of ice. A shining silver crown. A woman with silver hair. Then a pair of glowing blue eyes. Wolf eyes. Ancient eyes. I have waited for you, the voice said. A powerful energy surged through her veins. The rogue stepped backward and whimpered. You are not weak. The ground trembled beneath her. You were never weak. Silver light burst from her chest. Across the battlefield, every wolf stopped moving. Kale lifted his head. He felt it. An ancient power. Power older than kings. Older than kingdoms. The moon itself seemed brighter. The wind became silent. The glowing pendant around Elara's neck shattered into pieces. Pain and power exploded together. He screamed. Silver light shot into the sky. And for the first time in 23 years, something inside Elara opened its eyes. Wolf. A magnificent silver wolf. The legendary creature that was supposed to exist only in stories. The silver wolf had awakened. Silver light flooded the battlefield. The storm itself seemed to stop. Every wolf stood frozen. Every breath became slow. The magnificent silver wolf stood in the snow like a creature made of moonlight. Her fur glowed softly and her blue eyes shone brighter than the stars above. The rogue in front of her whimpered. Then it lowered its head. Another rogue stepped back. Then another. Fear spread through the enemy pack. They recognized something ancient. Something far older than any alpha. At the center of the village, Kale's black wolf stared at the glowing creature. His heart pounded violently. Could not be. The silver wolf had disappeared centuries ago. It existed only in legends. Yet here it stood. Alive. Real. The silver wolf slowly lifted her head and released a long haunting howl. The sound rolled across the mountains like thunder. Every rogue froze. Some collapsed to the ground. Others turned and tried to run. Then the silver wolf moved. She was fast. Too fast. A flash of silver. A rogue flew through the air. Another flash. Another enemy fell. The battlefield erupted again. Moonclaw warriors watched in disbelief. The mysterious wolf moved like flowing water and crashing storms at the same time. She leaped over burning wagons. She tore through enemies. She protected children. She stood between danger and the weak. A giant rogue alpha burst from the forest. He was enormous. His fur was dark gray and his eyes glowed red. The warriors stepped back in fear. Even Kale growled. The rogue alpha had killed dozens of wolves in neighboring kingdoms. Nobody had ever defeated him. The giant beast looked directly at the silver wolf. Then he smiled. A terrible, cruel smile. Finally he said, "I've found you." The words shocked everyone. Found her. The rogue knew this creature. The silver wolf stood perfectly still. Her blue eyes narrowed. The rogue alpha slowly walked closer. For generations we searched for the last silver queen. Tonight our hunt ends. Kale's heart nearly stopped. Silver Queen. The ancient title from the old prophecy. The ruler of a forgotten kingdom. The wolf legend suddenly felt very real. The giant rogue attacked. The ground shook beneath his weight. The silver wolf leaped forward. They collided in a burst of snow. Claws struck. Teeth flashed. Their growls echoed across the mountains. The battle was terrifying. The rogue alpha was strong. But the silver wolf was something else. She was power itself. She twisted beneath his attack and slammed him into the ground. Snow exploded everywhere. The rogue alpha rose again. He looked shocked. Impossible, he growled. The queen should still be sleeping. The silver wolf answered with another thunderous howl. Then she attacked again. This time she was faster, stronger. Her glowing claws cut across the rogue's chest. Blood stained the snow. The giant beast stumbled. Moonclaw warriors began to cheer. Hope returned. For the first time that night they believed they might survive. The rogue alpha looked around. His army was losing. Panic appeared in his eyes. He turned toward the silver wolf. "This is not over. The king is coming. When he arrives your bloodline will end forever." Then he ran. The remaining rogues followed him into the forest. Silence slowly settled over Moonclaw. The fire still burned. Smoke still rose into the dark sky. Bodies covered the snow. The village had survived. But only barely. Everyone turned toward the silver wolf. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The glowing creature stood alone in the middle of the battlefield. Then her eyes found Kale. For one long moment they looked at each other. Kale felt something strange. Guilt, fear, regret. The silver eyes looked familiar. Too familiar. A memory flashed inside his mind. A girl with tears on her face. A girl kneeling in the snow. Well, could not be. The silver wolf suddenly staggered. Her legs trembled. The battle had taken its toll. Silver light surrounded her once more. Slowly the giant wolf disappeared. A woman collapsed into the snow. Long silver hair spread around her. Pale skin. Blue eyes. The entire village gasped. Kale stopped breathing. Elara. It was Elara. The Omega he had rejected only moments ago. The woman he had called weak. The woman he had thrown away. She had saved them all. No one spoke. The silence felt heavier than the mountains. Kale walked forward slowly. His face had gone pale. Elara opened her eyes. They no longer looked broken. They looked ancient, powerful. She stared at him quietly. Kale could barely breathe. "You saved us," he whispered. Elara said nothing. Snowflakes landed on her silver hair. "I did not save you because you deserved it," she said softly. "I saved the innocent." Every word struck him like a blade. Kale knelt in the snow. For the first time in years the mighty Alpha King looked lost. "I did not know." A sad smile touched Elara's lips. "That is the problem, Kale. You never wanted to know." Silence followed. The entire village watched. The Alpha King looked at the woman he had rejected. The woman who had become a legend before his eyes. Then a voice suddenly echoed from the forest. "Run." Everyone turned. An old woman wearing a dark cloak stood at the edge of the trees. Her eyes glowed silver. She looked directly at Elara. "They are coming for you." Elara slowly stood. "Who are you?" she asked. The old woman smiled sadly. "I was once your mother's guardian." And if you stay here tonight you will die. Kale stepped forward. What does that mean? The old woman ignored him. The throne is awakening, she said to Elara. The enemies who murdered your parents know you are alive. They will not stop until the last Silver Queen is dead. Elara's heart froze. My parents. The old woman nodded. You were never an Omega. You were hidden. Protected. You are the daughter of a queen. Before anyone could ask another question, the old woman looked toward the dark forest. They are already here. A cold wind suddenly swept across the village. In the distance, dozens of red eyes appeared between the trees. More enemies. Far more than before. The old woman grabbed Elara's hand. You must come with me now. Kale stepped forward instantly. She is not going anywhere. The old woman finally looked at him. Because of your pride she nearly died tonight. If she stays with you she will truly die. Elara looked at the approaching red eyes. Then she looked at Kale. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then she took a slow step backward. And another. The mate bond may have been broken. But pain still flickered in Kale's eyes. Elara turned away. The old woman reached for her hand. Together they disappeared into the snowy forest. Kale stood frozen. Then suddenly he shouted. Elara. She never looked back. And deep in the dark woods a mysterious voice whispered. The Silver Queen has returned. 5 years later the kingdom of Moonclaw looked nothing like the night of the attack. The burned houses had been rebuilt. The broken walls had been repaired. People laughed again. Children played in the snow. But one thing had never returned. The mystery of the Silver Wolf still haunted every corner of the kingdom. No one forgot the woman who had saved them. No one forgot the silver light that had turned the tide of battle. And no one forgot that Alpha King Kale Draven had rejected her only moments before she became a legend. The story spread across kingdoms. Some called her the Moon Queen. Others called her the ghost of the snow. Some believed she was dead. Others believed she was preparing for war. Only Kale knew one thing. He had made the greatest mistake of his life. He stood on the balcony of his palace and stared at the distant mountains. Snow fell softly around him. 5 years. 5 long years. And he still remembered the look in Elara's eyes when she walked away. Not anger. Not hatred. Disappointment. That look hurt more than any wound. A guard suddenly approached and bowed. Your Majesty. Kale turned. What is it? A strange army has arrived at the northern gates. Kale frowned. An army. The guard nodded. They carry silver banners. Their leader refuses to give her name. A cold feeling moved through Kale's chest. Silver banners. Something about those words felt familiar. Prepare my horse, he ordered. I am going to the gates. The northern gate of Moonclaw was already crowded when Kale arrived. Warriors stood ready. Archers lined the walls. Everyone stared at the snowy road. An army waited there. Their armor was silver. Their cloaks were white. At the center stood a beautiful carriage decorated with glowing moon symbols. Then the carriage door slowly opened. A woman stepped out. The entire gate became silent. She wore a long silver cloak. Her hair was hidden beneath a hood. 2 small children climbed out behind her. Boy. A girl. Both looked around curiously. The little girl held a white stuffed rabbit. The boy carried a small wooden sword. Kale stared at them. Something inside him suddenly moved. Strange warmth. The hooded woman slowly walked forward. Every step was calm, confident, powerful. She stopped only a few feet away from the gate. I have come to speak with the Alpha King, she said. Her voice was soft. Kale's heart skipped a beat. That voice sounded familiar. He stepped forward. I am Alpha King Kale Draven. The woman lifted her head slightly. Then she slowly removed her hood. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. Silver hair fell over her shoulders. Blue eyes shone like winter skies. She was breathtaking. But Kale did not notice her beauty. He only saw one thing. Her eyes. The same eyes. The same eyes that had looked at him 5 years ago. His heart began pounding. Impossible. The woman smiled politely. It has been a long time, Your Majesty. Kel forgot how to breathe. Elara. She looked different. Stronger. Older. There was no weakness in her face. No fear. No sadness. Only quiet confidence. The little girl tugged on Elara's sleeve. Mama, I am cold. The entire world seemed to stop. Mama. Kale's eyes moved toward the children. The little girl had silver hair. The little boy had dark hair and blue eyes. Both children looked strangely familiar. Elara gently fixed the girl's cloak. Just a little longer, my moon. The boy suddenly looked at Kale. Who is that man? Elara's expression changed for a brief second. No one. The answer was soft. But it felt like a knife. Kale swallowed hard. You have children. Elara looked at him calmly. 5 years changes many things. The little girl smiled brightly. I am Luna. The little boy crossed his arms proudly. And I am Orion. Kale stared at them. Something deep inside him twisted painfully. The little boy's eyes. The shape of his face. They looked familiar. Too familiar. A nobleman suddenly stepped out of the carriage. He was handsome and dressed like a prince. He walked directly toward Elara and placed a protective hand on her shoulder. The people immediately began whispering. Prince Rowan. The heir of the Northern Kingdom. Why was he here? Rowan looked at Kale. We have come under a banner of peace. Kale's eyes narrowed. And why are you traveling with my former mate? The air suddenly became cold. Elara did not react. But Rowan smiled slightly. Because Lady Elara is under my protection. Those words struck Kale harder than expected. Your protection, he repeated. Rowan nodded. For 5 years. Silence followed. Kale felt something unpleasant inside him. Jealousy. He hated it immediately. The little girl suddenly slipped from Elara's side and ran toward the gate. Mama, look. Snow flowers. Before anyone could stop her, she picked up a small white flower. She laughed happily. Then she tripped. Kale moved without thinking. He caught her before she hit the ground. The little girl blinked at him. Thank you, mister. Kale looked into her bright blue eyes. A strange warmth filled his chest. She smiled. You have kind eyes. He almost laughed. Nobody had called his eyes kind in years. The little girl touched his cheek. You look sad. Kale froze. The child tilted her head. Have we met before? Before he could answer, Elara quickly walked over. Luna. The girl looked up. Uma. Do not wander away. The little girl nodded. Hurry. Elara gently took her hand. As she turned away, the little girl looked back at Kale one more time. Then she smiled. Goodbye, sad man. Kale watched them in silence. Something was wrong. Everything about this felt strange. The children. The silver hair. The familiar eyes. And then it happened. A sudden pain shot through his chest. He grabbed his heart. The old mate bond. The bond that had been broken 5 years ago. For one brief moment he felt it again. A warm thread. Connection. It vanished almost instantly. But it had been there. Kale slowly lifted his eyes toward Elara. She had felt it too. He could see it on her face. For the first time since her arrival, she looked shaken. The wind blew between them. Neither of them spoke. Then the little boy suddenly looked at Kale. His blue eyes narrowed. He studied him carefully. Then he asked a question that made the entire gate fall silent. Uma, why does this man smell like us? Silence spread across the northern gate. The cold wind stopped. Even the horses seemed to hold their breath. Mama, why does this man smell like us? Orion's innocent question hung in the air like thunder. Kale stared at the little boy. His chest tightened. Elara did not move. For one brief second something flashed in her eyes. Fear. Then it disappeared. She gently placed her hand on Orion's shoulder. Because many wolves carry similar scents, she said softly. The boy frowned. Well, not similar. The same. Kale felt his heart begin to pound. The little girl looked between them. Then she smiled. Maybe the sad man is family. Elara's hand tightened. Luna, come here. The girl obeyed but looked confused. Prince Rowan stepped forward at once. The children are tired. Perhaps we should continue this conversation inside. His voice was calm but his eyes remained fixed on Kale, as if he were protecting something precious. Kale slowly looked at Elara. You came here for a reason. She nodded. I did. Then come inside. Moonclaw welcomes its guests. A strange look crossed Elara's face. 5 years ago these gates had thrown her into a storm. Now the same gates were opening for her. Life was cruel in its own way. The great doors opened. The Silver Army entered. The people of Moonclaw gathered along the streets. They stared at Elara. Some recognized her. Some did not. An old woman suddenly covered her mouth. That is her. The rejected Omega. Another person gasped. Oh, that cannot be. She looks like a queen. Whispers spread like fire. Elara heard every word. But she kept walking. Her head remained high. Her children stayed beside her. She no longer looked like the girl who had cried in the snow. She looked untouchable. Kale watched her carefully. Every step she took made his regret grow deeper. The palace doors opened. Servants hurried everywhere. The great hall had been prepared. A long table stood near the fire. Food and warm drinks waited. Luna's eyes widened. Mama, look. Eggs. Elara almost smiled. The little girl had always loved sweets. Go ahead. But do not make a mess. Luna ran happily toward the table. Orion followed but stayed close to his sister. Kale watched the children. Something inside him softened. They looked so comfortable together. So happy. He had never imagined Elara as a mother. Yet somehow it suited her perfectly. Prince Rowan noticed his expression. They are wonderful children, he said. Kale looked at him. You seem close to them. Helped raise them. The words hit harder than expected. For 5 years Rowan had been there. He had seen their first steps, their first words, their laughter, everything. While Kale had known nothing. A servant suddenly entered the hall. Your Majesty, Lady Lyra has arrived. Kale frowned. I did not summon her. The servant lowered his head. She heard about the guests. A moment later footsteps echoed. Lyra entered the room wearing a deep blue dress. She was beautiful. But the smile on her lips vanished the instant she saw Elara. Impossible. The word escaped her mouth before she could stop it. Elara looked at her calmly. Lady Lyra. Lyra's face turned pale. You are alive. A strange silence followed. Kale slowly turned toward her. You knew she was dead. Lyra quickly forced a smile. Only assumed. Everyone thought she had died. Her eyes shifted toward the children. Then toward Prince Rowan. Then back to Elara. I see you have built a new life. Elara's expression remained unreadable. Ev. Luna suddenly ran toward Elara carrying a piece of cake. Mama, look. Found berries. Lyra looked down at the child. Then she froze. The little girl had silver hair. Silver eyes. Chill moved through Lyra. Who is this child? My daughter. The answer came softly. Lyra's face changed. And the boy? My son. Kale noticed everything. A fear. A shock. The way Lyra kept staring at the children. Why are you trembling, he asked. Lyra looked at him quickly. I'm not. You are. She forced another smile. I simply did not expect such surprises today. Luna suddenly looked up at Lyra. You have scary eyes. The room became silent. Elara gently pulled her daughter closer. Luna. The little girl blinked. I'm sorry, Mama. But she really does. Lyra's smile disappeared. Children say strange things. Or sometimes they see things adults do not. Everyone turned. An old woman stood in the doorway. The same mysterious guardian who had taken Elara away 5 years ago. Her silver eyes glowed softly. Kale immediately recognized her. The old woman walked into the hall. I warned you once, Alpha King. Yet fate has brought us together again. Lyra suddenly looked nervous. Who allowed this woman inside? No one answered. The old woman looked directly at her. You seem afraid. I have no reason to fear you. The old woman smiled. Oh, you fear the truth. A strange tension filled the room. Elara stepped forward. Why are you here? The old woman looked at her kindly. 'Cause the time has come. The enemy is moving again. The room became still. What enemy? Kale asked. The old woman turned toward him. The people who destroyed the Silver Kingdom. The people who murdered Elara's parents. Luna looked up at her mother. Uma, your parents are in the stars. Elara slowly knelt before her daughter. Yes, my moon. But someone sent them there. The little girl frowned. That is mean. A sad smile touched Elara's lips. It was very mean. The old woman lifted her hand. A map appeared on the table. It was made of silver light. Several dark marks glowed across it. The enemy has awakened. They know the Silver Queen lives. And they are coming. Kale stepped closer. Who are they? Before the old woman could answer, a loud horn echoed outside. Then another. The doors burst open. A soldier rushed inside. Your Majesty. The eastern watchtower has fallen. Everyone stood. The soldier looked terrified. An army has crossed the border. Thousands of wolves. And they carry black banners. The old woman's face became grim. They have arrived sooner than I feared. Kale looked toward the window. Who leads them? The soldier swallowed hard. A man calling himself the Shadow King. The room became silent. The old woman slowly closed her eyes. Then she whispered words that made everyone's blood turn cold. He is the one who killed the Silver Queen and her king. He is the monster who has hunted Elara since the night she was born. And now he has come to finish what he started. The palace hall exploded into movement. Warriors rushed toward the doors. Servants ran in fear. The sound of alarm horns echoed through the kingdom. Outside the windows, snow swirled beneath a dark sky. The enemy had come. Kale grabbed his sword. Seal every gate. Prepare every warrior. No one enters this kingdom without my permission. The soldiers bowed and hurried away. The old guardian turned toward Elara. They are here for you. Elara looked toward the distant mountains. 5 years. She had hidden for 5 years. She had raised her children in peace. And now the shadows had found her again. Luna suddenly took her hand. Uma, are bad people coming? Elara looked down at her daughter. Yes, my moon. The little girl's face became serious. Then we should protect everyone. The innocent words made several people smile. Orion stepped beside his sister. Can fight too. You are 5 years old, said Rowan softly. Orion lifted his chin. I'm almost 6. Despite the fear in the room, a few warriors laughed. Elara knelt before her children. Listen to me carefully. You will stay inside the palace with Prince Rowan. Oh. Both children answered together. She almost smiled. Orion crossed his small arms. I promise to protect Luna. And I promise to protect you. Elara's heart ached. They were so young. Too young for war. Yet they carried the blood of ancient kings. Kale watched them silently. Every time he looked at the children, something inside him grew stronger. The strange connection. The feeling that they belonged to him. He could not explain it. The old guardian suddenly looked at the twins. Then her eyes widened. What is it? Asked Elara. The old woman slowly stepped closer to the children. She studied their faces. Then their eyes. Then she looked at Elara. Have they shifted? Elara shook her head. Oh. The old woman seemed relieved. Very good. Kale frowned. Why does that matter? The old woman hesitated. Then she spoke softly. Because no child of the silver bloodline has ever shifted before the age of 10. Silence filled the room. And if they do? The old woman's face became pale. Means their power is extraordinary. A loud crash echoed outside. The enemy had reached the outer walls. Kale moved toward the door. We will discuss this later. Suddenly Luna grabbed his hand. Do not get hurt. Kale looked down at the little girl. Her blue eyes were full of worry. Why do you care if I get hurt? Because you look lonely, she answered. Lonely people need friends. The words hit him harder than any sword. Slowly he nodded. I will come back. Promise. Promise. Luna smiled. Then Kale left the hall. A few moments later Rowan also stepped toward the door. I should help. Well. Elara's voice stopped him. You stay with the children. Can fight. No. She looked at him gently. But if something happens to me, I need someone I trust beside them. Rowan's expression softened. You speak as if you are leaving. She looked toward the storm outside. Sometimes destiny does not ask permission. Simply arrives. Before he could answer, she turned away. The old guardian stepped beside her. There is something I must tell you. Not here. Elara followed her into a quiet room. A fire burned softly in the fireplace. Outside, the battle horns continued. The old woman closed the door. Then she looked at Elara with sad eyes. Your children are in danger. No. Well, you do not understand. She took a deep breath. The Shadow King is not hunting only you. He is hunting your heirs. Elara became still. How does he know about them? Because someone told him. A cold silence filled the room. Someone betrayed us. The old woman nodded slowly. Someone close to you. Elara's heart sank. She had trusted very few people. The old guardian continued. The silver bloodline carries ancient power. If your children awaken fully, the kingdoms will bow before them. That is why the Shadow King fears them. A knock suddenly sounded. The door opened. It was Rowan. His face looked troubled. I need to speak with you. The old woman nodded and quietly left. Rowan stepped inside. What happened? He looked at her for a long moment. Then he spoke. One of the palace servants tried to enter the children's room. With a knife. Elara's blood turned cold. Where is the servant now? A palace guard killed him. Silence. Then another thought appeared. Who sent him? Rowan slowly looked toward the door. I think we already know. At that exact moment a scream echoed through the palace. Luna. Lara ran. She raced through the hall. Her heart pounded wildly. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She reached the children's room. The door was open. The windows were broken. Cold wind rushed inside. Orion stood in the middle of the room shaking. Elara fell to her knees before him. Orion, where is your sister? Tears filled his eyes. They took her. Everything inside Elara stopped. Who took her? Woman. She wore blue. Blue. The color of Lyra's dress. Elara's face turned white. Orion grabbed her hand. I tried to stop them. I really tried. She pulled him into her arms. You were brave. You were very brave. The little boy began to cry. I could not protect her. A sudden wave of power moved through the room. The candles flickered. The windows shook. Elara pulled back and looked at him. His eyes were glowing. Bright silver. Then something impossible happened. A small silver wolf appeared beside him. It looked no larger than a dog. Its fur shone like moonlight. Its eyes were blue. Everyone froze. Orion stared at the wolf in disbelief. What is that? The old guardian entered the room and gasped. Whoa. Cannot be. The child has shifted. 5 years old. The tiny wolf growled. A deep, powerful sound that did not match its small body. The old woman's hands trembled. Prophecy has begun. Elara slowly stood. None of that mattered now. Only one thing mattered. Her daughter. She turned toward the door. Where are you going? Asked Rowan. Her blue eyes burned with fury. To get my child back. The old woman stepped in front of her. You cannot rush into this. You do not understand who you are fighting. Elara's entire body began to glow with silver light. No, she said quietly. You do not understand. A mother does not fear monsters. She becomes one. At that very moment a servant burst into the room. His face was pale with terror. My lady, a message has arrived. He handed her a piece of black paper. Elara unfolded it. Only a few words were written there. If you want to see your daughter alive, come alone to the frozen lake before midnight. Signed, Lyra Draven. The black paper trembled in Elara's hand. The words seemed to burn into her eyes. Come alone. The frozen lake. Midnight. She slowly lifted her head. Outside the palace windows, the snowstorm had grown stronger. The wind screamed like a warning. Rowan stepped forward. It is a trap. No. Then do not go. Elara folded the paper carefully. Have to. Luna is waiting for me. The old guardian shook her head. Lyra is not acting alone. She never had the courage for this. Someone is using her. I do not care who is behind this. Elara's voice was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm. I am bringing my daughter home. She turned to leave. A hand caught her wrist. Cale stood in the doorway. No one had heard him enter. His face was covered with snow. I am coming with you. Elara looked at him. Well, you cannot stop me. I am not trying to stop you. His golden eyes held hers. I am trying to help you. Silence filled the room. 5 years ago she would have believed him immediately. 5 years ago she would have followed him anywhere. But too much had happened since then. I do not need your help. The words were sharp. Cale did not step back. Maybe not. But Luna needs both of us. Elara became still. Both of us. The words sounded strange. Dangerous. As if they carried a truth neither of them was ready to face. Before she could answer, Orion suddenly ran forward. Uma. The small silver wolf still stood beside him. Its glowing eyes were fixed on Elara. The little boy looked frightened. I had a dream. Everyone turned toward him. What kind of dream? Orion swallowed. I saw a lake. I saw Luna crying. And I saw a man made of shadows. The room became silent. The old guardian slowly knelt before him. Did you see anything else? The boy nodded. Mama was glowing. And the sky was full of silver stars. Then the shadow man said something. What did he say? Orion looked at his mother. He said the queen has finally returned. A chill moved through the room. The old guardian closed her eyes. The prophecy is moving faster than I feared. Cale frowned. Or prophecy? The old woman looked at Elara. Perhaps it is time. Time for what? To tell the truth. She slowly stood. Then she looked at everyone in the room. 28 years ago there was another kingdom. A kingdom hidden beyond the northern mountains. A kingdom ruled by wolves with silver eyes. Their queen was wise. Their king was strong. They had a daughter. Baby girl. Elara's breathing became slow. She already knew where this story was going. One winter night a great army attacked. The kingdom burned. The king and queen died protecting their child. But before the enemy reached the princess they gave her to a loyal guardian. The old woman touched her own chest. Me. Tears filled Elara's eyes. You carried me away. The old woman nodded. I hid you among ordinary wolves. I sealed your powers and changed your name. I hoped you would live a simple life. But fate had other plans. Cale looked at Elara in disbelief. You are the princess. Oh. The old woman's voice was gentle. She is more than that. She turned toward Elara. You are the last silver queen. Silence. Only the sound of the storm remained. Elara's hands trembled. All her life she had wondered who she really was. Why she had no wolf. Why she never belonged. Now she knew. She had never been weak. She had never been ordinary. She had been hidden. Protected. Cale looked at her as if he were seeing her for the first time. The woman he rejected was a queen. The woman he called worthless carried royal blood. Pain crossed his face. Elara noticed. But she felt too numb to care. A sudden laugh echoed through the room. Everyone turned. Lyra stood at the doorway. No one knew how long she had been there. Her blue dress fluttered in the cold wind. She clapped slowly. Beautiful story. Truly beautiful. Cale's expression darkened. Where is Luna? Lyra smiled. If now. Elara stepped forward. Take me to her. I will. But first I want to tell you something. Her eyes shone strangely. I am tired of secrets. Kale took a threatening step. Enough games. Lyra looked at him and laughed. Games? No, dear Kale. This ended being a game long ago. She turned toward Elara. Do you know who opened the palace gates on the night your parents died? Elara froze. Do you know who told the Shadow King where the Silver Queen was hiding? The room suddenly felt cold. Lyra's smile widened. It was my father. A shocked silence followed. He served your parents for years. Then he betrayed them. Elara's heart pounded. Wait. For power. For gold. For promises. The Shadow King promised my family a throne. Tears filled Elara's eyes. Lyra stepped closer. And when your guardian hid you in Moonclaw, my father kept searching. Then one day he died. So I continued his work. Kale stared at her. You knew who Elara was. For years. Lyra looked at him. Course. I watched her grow up. I watched everyone mock her. I watched her suffer. And I loved every moment. The words hit like knives. Elara could barely breathe. Wait. 'Cause I hated her. 'Cause she was special. Because she had something I never could. Destiny. A single tear slid down Elara's cheek. Lyra's smile disappeared. Then came the cruelest words of all. I also killed the old couple who raised you. Poisoned them. They knew too much. The world seemed to stop. The old couple. The only people who had ever shown Elara kindness. Dead because of this woman. Something inside Elara broke. Silver light suddenly filled the room. The windows shattered. The fire exploded. Lyra stepped back in fear. Elara slowly lifted her head. Her blue eyes were glowing. Whoa. Not blue. Silver. You killed them. Her voice no longer sounded human. You took everything from me. Palace shook. The silver wolf appeared behind her like a spirit made of moonlight. Everyone stepped back. Even Kale. Lyra's face turned pale. I did not mean. Enough. The word echoed like thunder. Elara took one step forward. Then another. The air itself seemed to bow before her. For the first time in years Lyra looked afraid. Then she smiled suddenly. But, hate me. Because your daughter is waiting. The frozen lake. And if you do not arrive before midnight she dies. Before anyone could move, Lyra threw a small crystal onto the floor. Dark smoke exploded. When it disappeared she was gone. Silence returned. Then the palace clock rang. One time. Then again. 11 bells. Only 1 hour remained. The last bell faded into silence. Only 1 hour remained. The palace felt colder than the winter outside. Elara stood in the center of the broken room with silver light still glowing around her. No one dared to speak. No one dared to move. Then she turned toward the door. I'm going. Kale stepped in front of her. You are not going alone. Said no. And I said yes. Their eyes locked. The room became still. For a moment they looked like two storms ready to collide. Elara's hands trembled. Not with fear. With rage. If anything happens to my daughter because of you. Kale interrupted her. Then let me help fix the damage I caused. The words surprised her. There was no pride in his voice. No command. Only regret. She looked away. 5 years ago she would have given anything to hear him speak like this. Now she did not know what to feel. The old guardian stepped forward. The frozen lake is dangerous. The Shadow King may be waiting there. This is exactly what he wants. Elara looked at her. Then I will give him exactly what he wants. She walked toward the door. Kale followed. I am coming. You have a kingdom to protect. And you have a daughter to save. She stopped. Slowly she turned. What did you say? Kale's chest tightened. The words had escaped before he could stop them. Silence stretched between them. The old guardian looked at him carefully. Why did you call Luna your daughter? Kale could not answer. Because deep inside he already knew. He could feel it. Every time he looked at the little girl. Every time she smiled. Every time she touched his hand. A strange warmth lived inside him. He looked at Elara. Tell me the truth. Her face became unreadable. There is no time for this. There is every time for this. His voice grew softer. Are they mine? Silence. A terrible, painful silence. Elara looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked away. We are wasting time. Kel stepped closer. Elara. She closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they shone with tears. The single word changed everything. The room became completely silent. Kel forgot how to breathe. His knees nearly gave way. The children were his. The little girl who called him the sad man. The boy who smelled like him. They were his. 5 years. 5 years of birthdays. 5 years of laughter. 5 years of memories. He had missed all of it. A deep pain spread through his chest. His voice almost broke. Why did you never tell me? Elara looked at him. 'Cause I was terrified. The words came quietly. I had just awakened. People wanted me dead. I did not know who to trust. And after what happened between us, I could not risk my children. Tears filled her eyes. Chose them. I would choose them again. Cale lowered his head. He could not blame her. Not after what he had done. He had rejected her. Humiliated her. Thrown her away. And yet she had still saved his people. I'm sorry. The words were barely a whisper. She looked at him in surprise. I know sorry changes nothing. He slowly lifted his eyes. But if I could go back to that night, I would. I would choose differently. I would choose you. Pain crossed Elara's face. Please do not say things that are too late. The words hurt him. 'Cause they were true. A loud explosion suddenly echoed outside. Palace shook. A soldier burst into the room. Your Majesty. The eastern wall has fallen. The Shadow King's army is entering the kingdom. Cale's expression hardened. How many? Thousands. The room became tense. The old guardian looked out the window. This is no longer only about Luna. This is war. Snow blew through the broken glass. Far in the distance, black banners moved across the hills. The enemy had arrived. Elara's hands slowly curled into fists. He planned everything. The kidnapping. The attack. Everything. The old woman nodded. He wants to force the Silver Queen to reveal herself. Then I will. Everyone looked at her. Silver light slowly began to rise around her body. No more hiding. No more running. Tonight this ends. Suddenly Orion ran into the room. His little silver wolf was still beside him. The child looked frightened. I do not want you to go. Elara knelt before him. I have to bring your sister home. Then I am coming too. His eyes filled with tears. You always leave. First when you go to meetings. Then when you train. And now again. What if you do not come back? The question pierced her heart. She pulled him into her arms. I will always come back to you. Promise. Promise. The little boy hugged her tightly. Then something incredible happened. The tiny silver wolf beside him lifted its head and howled. A deep, powerful sound filled the room. The windows glowed. The floor trembled. Outside the palace, thousands of wolves suddenly stopped fighting. They all turned toward the palace. Then they bowed. Every single one of them. The old guardian gasped. Heir's call. Cale looked in shock. What is happening? The old woman stared at Orion. The children are even stronger than we feared. The little boy blinked. I did not do anything. No, my prince. You did everything. A loud roar suddenly echoed from outside. Then another. The enemy had reached the palace gates. Time had run out. Cale drew his sword. Rowan entered carrying his own blade. I'm coming too. Elara nodded. Then let us finish this together. She kissed Orion's forehead. Stay here. Lock the doors. Do not open them for anyone. The little boy nodded slowly. Tears still filled his eyes. Elara stood. Silver light surrounded her. Cale looked at her. You are not alone this time. She said nothing. But for the first time that night she did not tell him to stay behind. They walked through the palace halls together. Snow blew through broken windows. Warriors ran toward the battle. The sound of steel echoed everywhere. They reached the front gates. Then they stopped. The sight before them was terrifying. Thousands of enemy wolves covered the frozen fields. Black banners moved in the wind. At the center stood a man wearing dark armor. His hair was white. His eyes were black as night. And in his hand he held a small girl, Luna. She looked frightened, but unharmed. The man smiled. At last, the Silver Queen has come. Elara's entire body went cold. The Shadow King slowly raised his head. Then he looked directly at her, and smiled like a monster finally finding his lost treasure. The frozen field fell into a terrible silence. Snow drifted slowly through the night. The Shadow King stood in the center of his army with Luna in his arms. The little girl looked small against his dark armor, but she was not crying. She was staring at him with angry eyes. Elara took one step forward. Let her go. The Shadow King smiled. After all these years you still sound like your mother. The words sent a chill through her. You knew my mother. I knew her very well. He looked toward the sky. She was beautiful, brave, and foolish. She thought she could protect her kingdom. His black eyes returned to Elara. She was wrong. Silver light flickered around Elara's hands. You killed her. The answer came without regret. I killed your father too. And tonight I will end the last of their bloodline. Luna suddenly wriggled in his arms. You are a bad man. The Shadow King looked down at her. The little girl crossed her arms. Very bad. I do not like you. A few warriors almost smiled. Even now she was fearless. The Shadow King chuckled. You have your mother's spirit. Then his smile disappeared. Pity. He raised his hand. Instantly hundreds of enemy wolves moved forward. Kale stepped beside Elara. His sword gleamed beneath the moon. You will not touch my family. The Shadow King's eyes narrowed. Family. So you know. Kale's jaw tightened. I know enough. The man laughed. Then let me give you one more truth. He looked directly at Kale. The night you rejected Elara was no accident. I arranged it. Silence spread across the field. What are you talking about? I sent the rogues. I spread the rumors that she was weak. I made sure everyone believed she was worthless. Because a hidden queen is easier to kill than a beloved one. Kale felt sick. Every terrible event had been planned. The Shadow King smiled. You did my work for me. You pushed her out of your kingdom with your own hands. The words hit like a hammer. Elara looked at Kale. Pain flashed across his face. The Shadow King laughed louder. How wonderful. The mighty Alpha King destroyed his own mate. Enough. Elara's voice echoed across the field. The snow beneath her feet began to glow. You have taken enough from me. The Shadow King's smile slowly faded. Then come and take your daughter. He threw Luna into the air. Everything happened at once. Elara ran forward. Kale moved beside her. A giant black wolf leaped from the enemy army. Then another. Then another. War exploded across the frozen lake. Elara caught Luna in her arms. I was brave. Tears filled Elara's eyes. You were very brave. The little girl touched her cheek. I knew you would come. Before Elara could answer, a roar shook the night. The Shadow King had shifted. His wolf was enormous. Its fur was black as smoke. Its eyes burned red. The beast charged toward them. Kale transformed instantly. His giant black wolf crashed into the enemy. The impact shook the ice. The two beasts rolled across the snow. Claws flashed. Teeth snapped. The battle had begun. All around them wolves fought beneath the moon. Rowan led Moonclaw warriors into the enemy lines. Silver soldiers clashed with black armored fighters. The frozen lake became a sea of chaos. Elara carried Luna toward safety. Then she stopped. A familiar laugh echoed nearby. Elara. She stood beside a broken tree. Her face looked wild. Came. Elara slowly placed Luna behind her. Stay there. The little girl nodded. Lyra looked at the child and smiled coldly. She has your eyes. I hate that. You used my daughter. You used me. Lyra shrugged. I was promised a crown. Instead I watched you become a queen. I could never allow that. Tears shone in her eyes. Everything was supposed to be mine. Elara looked at her quietly. Power without love means nothing. Lyra laughed bitterly. Easy for you to say. You have everything. Kingdom. Children. Even the Alpha still looks at you as if you are the moon itself. The hatred in her voice was almost painful. Then she pulled a dagger from her dress. If I cannot have happiness, neither will you. She rushed forward. Luna screamed. The blade flashed. But before it could reach Elara, a silver blur shot across the snow. Small wolf. Orion. The little boy had somehow escaped the palace. His tiny silver wolf slammed into Lyra's legs. She fell hard onto the ice. Orion stood between his mother and the dagger. Do not touch my mama. Everyone froze. The child's eyes were glowing silver. The air around him shimmered. The old guardian appeared from the battlefield and gasped. The prince has awakened again. Lyra slowly stood. Child cannot stop me. She raised the dagger. Then the ground beneath her feet cracked. Silver light burst through the ice. A crown appeared. A magnificent silver crown decorated with moonstones. The ancient silver crown. Everyone on the battlefield stopped. The old guardian fell to her knees. The crown has returned. The Shadow King turned in shock. Impossible. The crown floated through the air. Then it stopped before Elara. The moonlight became brighter. A soft female voice echoed across the lake. Take your place. Tears filled Elara's eyes. It was her mother's voice. The old guardian bowed her head. The kingdom has chosen its queen. Slowly Elara lifted the crown. The moment it touched her hands, silver light exploded into the sky. The frozen lake trembled. Every wolf dropped to one knee. Even Kale's wolf lowered its head. Elara's silver gown appeared around her like flowing moonlight. Her hair glowed. Her eyes shone like stars. She no longer looked human. She looked eternal. The true Silver Queen had risen. The Shadow King stepped backward. Fear appeared on his face for the first time. Oh, this cannot happen. Elara placed the crown upon her head. Then she looked at him. You hunted me all my life. You murdered my family. You stole my kingdom. Her voice carried across the entire battlefield. Tonight I take everything back. Silver light covered the frozen lake. The night itself seemed to bow before the newly crowned queen. Elara stood in the center of the battlefield wearing the ancient crown. Snowflakes circled around her like glowing stars. Her silver hair moved in the wind. Her eyes shone with a power older than kingdoms. The Shadow King stared at her in horror. Oh, this cannot be. The silver bloodline is dead. Elara took one slow step forward. You made one mistake. Her voice echoed across the lake. You left one child alive. The ice beneath her feet glowed. The Shadow King roared and charged. His giant black wolf tore across the frozen lake. He moved with terrifying speed. But Elara did not move. She simply lifted one hand. Silver light exploded from her palm. The Shadow King flew backward. His body crashed through the ice and snow. The entire battlefield gasped. He slowly rose again. Blood stained his dark fur. Fear filled his red eyes. For the first time in his life he looked weak. Kale shifted back into human form and stared at Elara. She looked like something from an ancient legend. Queen born from moonlight. A queen he had once called worthless. Pain filled his chest. How blind had he been? The Shadow King attacked again. This time he did not fight alone. Dozens of his strongest wolves rushed beside him. They surrounded Elara. Their growls echoed through the night. Luna became frightened. Elara looked at her daughter and smiled softly. Close your eyes, my moon. The little girl obeyed. Then the queen lifted both hands. Silver light burst into the sky. A magnificent silver wolf appeared behind her. It was larger than any wolf on the battlefield. Its eyes glowed like blue fire. The giant spirit released a thunderous howl. Every enemy wolf froze. Then they fell to their knees. The Shadow King's warriors had never seen such power. Some began to run. Others dropped their weapons. The spirit wolf leaped forward. Its silver claws swept across the battlefield. Enemy soldiers flew through the air. Dark banners fell into the snow. The battle ended almost as quickly as it had begun. The Shadow King stood alone, breathing hard, bleeding, defeated. He looked around in disbelief. His army was gone. Everything he had built had collapsed. Elara slowly walked toward him. The wind carried her silver cloak behind her. "This is for my mother." A burst of silver light struck him. He fell to his knees. "This is for my father." Another burst of power. He cried out, "This is for my kingdom." The ice cracked beneath him. Then she stopped before him. "And this is for every child who lost their family because of you." The Shadow King looked up. His eyes were filled with terror. "Please." The word barely escaped his lips. "Mercy." The battlefield became silent. Everyone waited. Elara looked at the man who had destroyed her life. Then she remembered her parents. The lonely nights. The fear. Pain. She remembered Luna being taken. She remembered Orion crying. "Mo." Her voice was calm. "You never showed mercy." The silver wolf behind her raised its head. One final howl echoed across the mountains. A pillar of silver light surrounded the Shadow King. Then it vanished. When the light faded, he was gone. Nothing remained except snow. The war was over. Silence spread across the frozen lake. Then one by one the warriors dropped to one knee. "Long live the Silver Queen." The cry spread across the battlefield. "Long live the Silver Queen. Long live the Silver Queen." Tears filled Elara's eyes. After all these years she had finally come home. A sudden sob broke the moment. Luna ran toward her. "Uma." Elara dropped to her knees and caught her daughter. The little girl wrapped her arms around her neck. "I was scared. I know my moon. But you came. I always will." Orion ran forward next. He nearly crashed into them. "I told everyone you would win." Elara laughed through her tears. "Did you?" He nodded proudly. "'Cause my mama is the strongest." The words made her heart ache with love. Then another shadow appeared before her. "Oh." He stood quietly. Snow rested on his dark hair. For a long moment neither of them spoke. Finally he knelt before her. The mighty Alpha King bowed his head. "I owe you more apologies than I can count." Elara remained silent. "I rejected you. Failed you. I failed our children before I even knew them." His voice shook. "I cannot change the past. But if you allow it, I want to spend the rest of my life earning your forgiveness." Silence filled the frozen lake. The children looked between them. Luna tugged on Elara's sleeve. "Uma, why is the sad man crying?" A few warriors laughed softly. Kale almost smiled. Elara looked at him. There were tears in his eyes. Real tears. The proud Alpha King was broken. She remembered the young man who had once been her dream. Then she remembered the pain he had caused. Some wounds never disappear. "You know." He lowered his head. "I do not ask you to forget. I only ask for a chance." The little girl suddenly walked toward him. Then she wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. Kale froze. "You do not have to be sad anymore." She kissed his cheek. "'Cause you found us." His eyes filled with tears again. Slowly he hugged her back. Orion stepped closer. Then the little boy looked at Kale carefully. "Are you really our father?" Kale's voice almost broke. "If you will allow me to be." Orion studied him for several long seconds. Then he nodded. "You can stay." Laughter spread across the battlefield. Kale laughed too. The sound surprised even him. Elara watched the scene quietly. Something warm touched her heart. Perhaps broken things could heal. Perhaps. The old guardian suddenly stepped forward. "Your Majesty." Everyone turned. The old woman was smiling. "Your kingdom waits for its queen." Far beyond the battlefield the first light of dawn appeared. The long night had finally ended. But then something unexpected happened. Luna suddenly looked toward the sky. Look. A small silver light appeared beside her. The light grew brighter. Then it took shape. A tiny silver wolf. The little creature sat beside Luna and wagged its tail. The battlefield became completely silent. The old guardian covered her mouth. Impossible. Luna looked delighted. Pretty puppy. The tiny wolf rubbed against her leg. Tears filled the old woman's eyes. The second silver wolf has awakened. The prophecy is complete. Elara looked at her daughter in shock. The old woman smiled. The age of the Silver Queens has begun. The rising sun touched the snow. A mother stood beside her children. A king stood beside his family. And beneath the golden light of a new day, the future finally smiled upon them.